Well, check this out. The Ducati 916 has a little bit of red on it for once. The first time in many years. Well, this here, Ducati 748, this is from my Ducati 748, my first Ducati, which I purchased from a guy quite local. It had 5,000 miles on it when I purchased it. A 1998 model, R804 YRV. That bike I had for must have been 7 or 8 years, something like that. It was my only mode of transport. Beautiful machine. It even had, when I bought it, the original rectifier on it, which burnt out pretty quickly. I got it swapped for one of those. I did all sorts of mods on that 748. I even put an 853 big bore kit on it. Well, I got a guy called John Sellier, Ducati John. When he first started out, he fitted the big bore kit for me. I purchased the big bore kit from eBay for 250 quid, brand new, believe it or not. You could get parts of these pretty cheap back then. 250 quid for a big bore kit. And he fitted that, and that stayed on the bike. Right, you don't really think that I'm going to be just firing this bike up with a clean fuel pump and a fresh battery, do yet? No. I need to check some important parts of this bike, i.e. the belts, because they might be cracked. Might be slack. It might not even be there. Good to see everything's slack and not seized as well. What's that going? Look at state of that. I'm going to look for a new one of these because that's broke off and I don't want that on it. Does that mean anything to anyone? Is it just genuine parts, something like that? I don't know what that number is. I'll look for a new airbox seal as well. This is not in bad shape, but it's got, well, yeah, it is. It's ripped up there, look. So we'll look for another airbox seal. That will have to come out. Let's take a little look up. We're losing these, aren't we? Don't want to be losing those. I'll stick them in there for now. Has it got air filters in it? Yeah, I can feel them and they're just disintegrating when I touch them actually. I wouldn't mind getting some carbon fibre air ducts on these. Right, let's take a look, a quick look here. What's that? Bit of rubber. Can anyone spot anything I can't see yet? Anything that looks abnormal or shouldn't be there? Nothing. Looks alright. Just dirty. I'll get the plugs out, check the plugs as well, so I'll probably put some new plugs in it. What's that M for there? Got an M stamped on the cylinder. I'll check the other one out, but it's got an M there. Does that mean anything to anybody? Does it mean modified, anything like that? Okay, so I'm going to get the belt covers off. Alright, this is where Paul gets a little bit nervous now. Oh, look at that. That little Allen key there is a genuine Ducati Allen key, which came in my 748. Still got it. Genuine one. Oh, that's loose. That's loose. I'd like to say someone's been in here recently, but judging by how tight those airbox bolts were, I doubt it. These belts look new. I expect them to say Ducati on them and be all crispy and hard, but they're very flexible. They feel nice and loose to them. Look pretty good. It's not cracked up or anything. They're kind of the right tension. There's a few ways people do tensioning on these. Belts are belts on engines, so I'm not an expert in Ducatis. I'm not an expert in belt tensioning, but I don't know which is the best way to do them. Probably revert to the manual. You can. I have done cam belts on V8 engines, V6 engines in cars, on our cars and stuff like that. And I've done them on my 1198 as well. One thing about what you can do with belts is if you pick the longest part of the belt and turn it 90 degrees, it shouldn't really go more than 90 degrees. That's one indicator that the belt's at the right tension. I think someone might argue with me. There's that bloody Allen key mod thing. I've never done that, as someone mentioned before about the Allen key thing you stick in there. I've not done that. It doesn't sound safe to me, to be honest with you. But if it works for you, it works for you. You've not had any problems with it. The other way is the acoustic method on these. I don't know what it actually says in the manual, but I'm going to have a look anyway. But I have done these before on my 748, my 1198, and I never had any problems with it. It lasted for a long time. But these do feel pretty good. It would be an idea to get them off. Check that they're not distorted. I should be able to get these off, and then it should lay on the floor circularly, not like this, like a tie, a necktie. But the guy who bought it off did say it had a recent belt service, but judging by how tight those airbox covers were, I mean, it looks to me like they've been on a while. I don't know. So I need to really check when this bike was last on the road. I think it was MOT'd in 2018. MOT, by the way, if you're from the US or you're out of the UK, the MOT is basically a fit for purpose vehicle test that we have to do on all our vehicles. Make sure they're roadworthy. Go to an MOT test centre or a garage, and they basically go through the brakes, suspension, any rust, stuff like that. Make sure it's roadworthy. Gets a certificate that's fit for purpose. So we have to do that. This was last had its MOT. I think it was 2018. It was ridden throughout that year. So I'm going to check. Hopefully it was a little later, but I'll confirm the mileage from when it was last MOT to see what happened to it. The guy told me that it's been fired up regularly, but it's not been run for a couple of years. I don't know, but he said the belts were changed during that time. Can anyone spot anything out of the ordinary that I can't hear? All you Ducati experts, are they standard, these oil cooler hoses? This colour, are they standard? I don't recall. I've got all these yellow anodized bits on them before. That looks a little bit scabby. Right, okay, if you can't spot anything, now's your chance. Are there any markings on these cylinder heads? Any numbers, something like that makes it very special? I can't see anything, to be honest with you. Right, so next thing is I'm just going to check the clutch as well. Easy thing to do. Oil. I need to check the oil. I'm going to check the plugs. Get the plugs out. I'm going to check the air filter. That's going to be ditched. I don't need an air filter because I'm not riding it. Because they're crumbling in my hands. So I'm going to check the oil and make sure. I think I've got a Ducati oil filter. Oh, look at that. Although that looks like an 1198 one. Is it the same? I think it is the same, isn't it? Ooh, is that brand new? I think it is as well. Get in, Paul. Well, I've had that for some time, haven't I? Is that a Ducati one as well? I think this one might be. Looks a bit better with the cover on it. Pretty sure that's a Ducati one as well. We'll check that out. That'll be brilliant if we have. Even better. I'll have a look at those later, see if it's the same ones. Okay, let's get the damn thing stripped further. Oh no, it's got a notch clutch basket, look at that. You see there? You can see those notches, so damn, that is pretty bad. That a new clutch basket, I reckon, on there. Looks like the price is going up on this one, doesn't it? Don't like getting these off actually. It's, I think the hub, the clutch hub bolt is about is about 183 Newton meters of torque. It's pretty heavy duty that, but it will not ride correctly like that at all. Surprise actually for the mileage it's done, 16,000. So check out the plugs. Oh my god, these are well old champion plugs. RA59GC, proper old plugs them. All black and sooty as well, so whoops. I've got my fuel pump o-ring seal. It's arrived today. It's Saturday morning and I've got my fuel pump o-ring seal. So that means we can get his bike fired up today. I've ordered some spark plugs and a few other bits which not arrived yet. So I expect those in a week, but nevertheless I'm going to fire his bike up today. I have some oil to change for the engine oil and I have those filters, so I'm going to stick those in. And we're going to build it back together, clean up the electrics, boom, and get it fired up. Right, so I've taken off the cam covers and I've inspected these cam lobes in here, the opening and closing ones. I'm going to do a clearance check later on. I'm not going to bother doing one now, a little bit involving. So the chrome is still on these. Sorry I can't get the camera in there, it's quite tight, but I've turned the engine over. And these are nice and oily, by the way. I expected to be no oil on those whatsoever. All dry, but it's nice and oily, which is a good sign. I've checked these in here, there's no wear on them. The chrome's still on the valves, the cam lobes, so we'll get it back together now. Get these spark plugs back in. Let's tighten them up. All I can do, scaring those Ducati owners there, aren't I? We don't do it like that. It's a joke by the way. Right, let's clean some electrics up because these are scabby. Look at that. Disgusting. Look at that. We'll clean all these electrical connections up. Alright, so I'm going to get these cleaned up. I'm going to dip them in some Harpic to get all that rust off. I'll take the ground wire off in a minute. I will clean these connectors up. There's a slight bit of corrosion in all of them. You can push these pins out and replace the actual pins and put them back into the blocks. All of them will do that. I'll show you how to get them out. There's a little tool to do it with. Same with this one here, it's quite gruesome in there. And down here on the starter solenoid, you can see there where it's oxidizing. So that'll get cleaned up. I think that'll be knackered personally in there. It could be seized up, but I'll give it a try anyway. Look at that there. Ooh, not good, is it? Okay everybody, so I've relocated myself to the posh side of the garage, or the showroom side of the garage. You know, I spend less time here. I spend all my time in the other part, the scruffy part of the garage. I never actually do much work in here. So I should do it really, I should utilise this space. Right, so we're going to get these electrics cleaned up. And we're going to be using this Harpic Power Plus toilet cleaner, bog cleaner for these electrical components. It's brilliant for cleaning up copper and stuff like that. Exhaust as well, rusty old exhaust, this stuff is the business. Right, so I've got myself some Harpic poured out there. What I'm going to do is drop those in. It's in the state of them. Sorry, I should have showed you the state of the other one. Drop those in there. Let them soak. Could even put some of those nuts in there as well. get it all in. These are pretty clean, these nuts, but I can replace them anyway. Okay, so what I want to be doing is, let's find the worst one. That's pretty bad, isn't it? You can see it working already, look, fizzing up. So I'm going to stick that in there. I might have to put the camera down, just swish it around a little bit and give it a quick brush. Sometimes you can dip things in this and pull it out, and it's clean if you leave it long enough. I've cleaned up bolts in here, you know, left bolts in overnight. Only thing is, when you've cleaned stuff with this, you're stripping off some of the coatings, so you will have to recoat it or oil it, something like that. Make sure you got the well greased surface after. But to get rust off, it's pretty good. Right, I'm just going to put this camera down a minute. Sorry if that's quite a crappy angle to be filming at. Trying to get this submerged in there heavily. There we are, got it down in there. Put some on here as well, just to help clean those contacts up. It should really be scrubbed with this stuff, but let's see what we can do just by dunking it for a few minutes. Agitate it a little bit. Probably should be wearing gloves actually, but we're all a bit dangerous, aren't we? Let's have a look. Look at that, nice clean copper in there, look. Now, they're not particularly bad cables, these. I know some people like to upgrade the wiring to thicker wiring for better ampage or something. I would recommend personally replacing these. They should still work. Your battery's the most important thing. The cold cranking amps of your battery, you want to like close to 300 if you can, what Ducati is. But the reason I don't like these is because they're crimped. I prefer, oh, I don't know if you can hear that, we've got a bike out there going past. The reason I don't like these is because they're crimped, and I much prefer a soldered connection. There's less resistance on a soldered connection. You can just heat that up really and put some solder in there, but I would just prefer to put some new leads on here. It won't do any harm. So we'll get the other ones cleaned up. It doesn't look too bad, the other ones, to be honest. We'll see what these looks like in here, won't we? Yes. Clean those brass connectors up in there, really good. Another little soak in that. I must say that's pretty impressive, even though I knew it would do a good job. Just to say that these were quite rusty. That is pretty impressive, that. Look at that. You may have to agitate some of this rust off and give it a little bit of a wire brush, but it gets you in front pretty decently. Look at that. A little bit of a scrub on the back. Let's give it some WD-40 and see what we can see. I usually squirt these parts with WD-40 just to help neutralise the harpic. Alright, messy worker, aren't I? Can't get this one out. Oh, beautiful. Bear with me. Beautiful, look at that. Pretty good, eh? It even cleans your toilet. So, alright, so I just cleaned up, took the bolts off to clean these posts up a little bit better. You can take these nuts off actually. But when you put them back on, do not over tighten them because it'll pull these out. So you just want to snug them up. Inside there, basically what happens in here, if I can hold it steady. What happens in there, we have, this is like a bridge. So one of these is actively live from the battery and the other one will go to your starter. And inside here you got like a flat piece of copper, something like this, which will activate and bridge these two together. So when you fire your bike up, you'll get 12 volts going to your starter switch, and when you press your starter switch, that will complete a circuit, send that voltage back down here, and then it will create a magnetic field. There's a little coil in there attached to this. It'll create a magnetic field which drives the plunger towards these two posts and creates a complete circuit. So that's how your starter solenoid works. It clicks. We'll test it out and see if it's working okay. Alright, so I've got my brand new battery. We've got this little bit of jumper wire here going to the trigger circuit, and all I'm going to do is simply touch that. This is acting as your starter button on your bike. Hear that? That's working really good actually, that. You see it jump around. There we go. And furthermore, these posts do have a little o-ring on them, so moisture and stuff can get in there. So it doesn't hurt just to take those off. Probably give them a little bit of a clean out from time to time. Get some WD-40 in it, get it clean out. And that way it keeps it healthy. See, that's soaking away inside there. It won't kill it. Just keeps it lubed and healthy. Lubed and healthy. Dirty bastard. Right. The fiddly bit. I hate fiddly bits. Hey, you bastard. So let's take a closer look at what I'm doing here. So the fuel pump, when you put a new gasket on these, they can be pretty tight. This one was pretty tight. Whatever you do, don't try to force it in. If you try and force it in, you can break all these wires. You can damage the pump gasket anyway, but you can put pressure and bend these wires. Also, you can dent your tank as well. If this were a newly painted tank, I obviously would not be doing this. It'll be on a blanket and a cushion. So it doesn't scratch the paintwork. But what I'm basically doing, I've used, it's a pity that these original fuel pump bolts aren't that long, but I'm practically using just some Allen key bolts just to get the fuel pump down nice and even, and I'm literally checking it's all level, not going at an angle. It's more or less straight now, and I'm just letting it go down nice and even like that until it seats. I can probably put the original screws in now, which I will do, and then we should be good to go. Right, where's the rest of the bolts? I'm back in a minute, and don't forget the drain tap as well. Right then, so he's naked. and he's ready to get a tank on and see if the damn thing runs. So first thing I'm going to do is pour some fuel into that tank and see if it pisses out anywhere, because I don't want to put it on the bike obviously. I fit the battery. The battery's tiny. I think that looks more like a 1198 749 battery, that one. It's not the right size for the battery box, but I mean I don't want to put an old acid battery in there. So I fixed my fuse, soldered it back together, taped it up, stuck it in there. If it pops, it pops. All these electrics nice and clean now on the start, everything, and the earth's clean, so we should get ignition. I've not gone any further in depth in there. I'm sure you're all waiting for me to shut up and fire the bike up. But what I'll do with this here, I'm going to get a new one of those, and I think I will make perhaps out of aluminium, another battery holder to hold this in. I'll look into that. I know people like things original, but come on, modifications are better, aren't they? I'm going to get a better battery tray in there. Right, so I'll check for leaks out of that tank, and we'll get it on. Oh, I've removed the nose cone, by the way, because the air filters in there are disintegrating, so I don't want just sucking that foam into the engine. Okay, let's get it fired up. I've got full kind of V-power here, using the good stuff on this. Whoa, it's a bit, that nozzle's a bit tight. Please don't leak, honestly, please do not leak. There's people there wanting to see this damn thing running today, otherwise I'm in trouble. Shouldn't really put all the fuel in, but then again I want to flush the tank out again anyway. We have got a leak. So we've got a leak coming from those plastic fuel tap clips there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shove the fuel hose into it and see if it continues to leak, 'cause it might seal it then. Right. So that's in. Those fuel clamp, quick release fuel hoses. Once you push them in, twist them left to right as well, so it seats them properly. Because if you stick them straight in, if you stick it straight in without any foreplay, then they might not seat the rubber seal correctly. I'm just going to keep a watch on that. I'm going to give it a wipe, make sure there's no fuel leaking out of it, because we do not want a fire. Ducatis get hot, don't they? This is it. Looking for ignition there then, shouldn't. Right, so I'm going to cycle up fuel pump a little bit. In fact, I want to get that open. Hear all the air coming out of the fuel line, so I'm going to cycle the fuel pump a little bit. Keep getting that air out. If it continues, then you've obviously got a problem. This door open. Don't want to get smoked out, do we? Fucking hell, already. Ooh. barely idling. It's actually a very smooth engine. Right, so I've had to cut that short. I just noticed fuel on the floor, so we have got a fuel leak. It's coming from the the inlet. I've just taken out this end here to check it, and I found. Can you see that the rubber O-ring seal there? It's snagged up. So that would definitely cause it to leak. However, this was leaking anyway on the tank. I've lost a lot of fuel, to be honest. The floor's spotless down there. Should get some more petrol on it. This is leaking anyway. It shouldn't be trickling out of there. It should be nice and locked off. Right, everybody, sadly, that is all from me today. I won't be able to get this bike fired up again today because I do not have an O-ring for this fuel line connector. Bloody hell. I've looked through my little O-ring box and I've not got one to fit that. I'll try. So what I'm going to do is get online and order a few more bits and pieces to cover any issues with this now. I want to get some more fuel line from Halfords probably, and some more of these quick fit connectors. The bike sounded okay, at least we got it fired up anyway. It runs, it didn't take that long to get it running. I was surprisingly, I don't know how long it's been stood, but it sounded okay. The engine sounded smooth. Only problem when I had to hold the throttle for it to idle high enough. When I shut that throttle off, the idle dropped right low, under 1,000 RPM. So that was most likely the low fuel pressure coming out of this lining, the black one. So what we're going to do is probably make my own fuel lines and get rid of those, and we're also going to look for the metal female connectors for this end, because that one's leaking. It could be the O-ring inside just perished or old or something like that. When they've been sat for a while, they can leak. The O-ring will just go like this one and crack and go hard. So when you disturb them, that's it, they're done for. So I'll tidy it out a little bit further, and at least it's got it running anyway. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you all. I'm going to get inside the house, get myself a beer. It's pissing down outside. It stinks high in here of petrol fume. It's making me go a little bit dizzy. We've got about 5 litres of V-Power all over the floor. So I'm going to get in the house now, get online, look for some of these little bits. If you've got a link or know where to get some of these from the metal ones, then please send me a message, or any fuel line parts, something like that. Send me a message on Instagram, and I'd love to get some off you. Okay, right, we'll be back. We'll be back, and we'll fire it up again. I might do a burnout in garage. No, I'm not going to do a burnout in garage. Okay, see you later.